These are the material that we are going to work with. I do watercolor painting for this session. This is for acrylic and it's not plain. I just picked it up. I'm going to use the watercolor pad. It's like this. It's connect all the paper together. The size is not much big, is 7 by 10. And they're connect together. I don't need to tape it on a board so I can paint on top. And then there is empty space here, so then I can remove with a knife all the part of the paper, which is easier to work with this kind of pad if you have it. If not, it's like a notebook, but all the paper connect together. If you don't have it, doesn't matter. Any kind of watercolor paper you have, you need to tape it on a board because of the bubble it up or something. We need to make the paper be really flat and straight. So you can take four sides of your paper, like these four sides, to the board and then paint on top of it. And we need to have brushes at least two different size would be great to have, one larger size, one smaller, or even if you have the range of different size would be better because you have more option to use the brushes. Like this is larger one, and it depends on size of paper. Mine is not much big when you compare with my hands. So if you work on a small size, you don't need to go with a really large size of the brush. And I have this three, depend on the brand. This is Princeton. So each brand are different. This is from Curry's and each company make the different size. So this is number 10. The middle is number 8. And this one is number 6. But it's not the rule for all the brushes. Sometimes number 10 is really big. Sometimes number 6 is really big or really small. Depend on the company that make them. So this is the watercolor block pad actually. Um, I have this for a while and I add the paint everywhere here and just need to wet with the water with the spray or drop of water from this bucket and then it make wet and fresh to use it like that. One by one I can make it wet and then use it so many times. It's not same as acrylic, so you can keep it dry. Or I have this kind of palette that already used for my previous painting and the paint is there, but it's dry now. When I make them wet, then I can use it again. And the paint are really fresh. So for watercolor, it's very easy to use and the paint that you have already from before so many times. So the other things for watercolor, I depend on the painting that I'm going to do. It's if it was portrait, figure, or something, I do drawing on top. But for landscape, which is okay, you don't need to be really specific. You know, if the place of the trees, or even the bushes, or even the rocks, if they change, nothing happens seriously. It's not like a face or portrait to change everything. So you don't have to bother yourself for drawing. You can just see the whole painting and start apply with the layers of paint. In this painting, sorry, I don't have that because I sold this piece. So I have the photo of that. It's my previous painting. So I see the background, which is the sky, darker, a little bit purpley tone on top, and then come to the bottom, to the center, and then all these bushes on the stands cover it. And then the water start. So this rock and the trees are really front of that. Just in case if we would like to have an idea where should be place of this rock and the bushes, we can do drawing of this rock and that's it. The rest we can do it later with the layers of paint. So I try to add the drawing of that very gently. And we need to know that watercolor is really transparent. So if you would like to draw anything on top, Make it very gentle, loose, and light, or erase it before adding the paint on top of it. So if I imagine this is the center of my page, like this, if this is the center, I would add the rock a little bit toward the bottom part. So I'd add just a line like that. To have an idea, this is the place of the rock. And then a little bit shape it to the top. Something very light like this. And that's enough. We don't need to do more if it's visible. It's like a long triangle shape, but a little bit curvy on the top part. So much easier to do everything in watercolor with just paint and water. So play with that. We need napkin as well to clean our brushes and even the previous paint which is left like that. Easily you can clean it with a little bit water and napkin. So it's fresh to use it now. Okay. So as I mentioned, I would like to start from the sky. The sky on top is a little bit purpley toned, and then to the bottom is more white and blue. So the blue color I'm going to use, if you would like to know the name, it's ultramarine blue, is this one. And in watercolor, we don't use much white. Some artists do that. Some artists prefer not to use the white color because white can make your color muddy. And we need to make any colors in watercolor lighter with more amount of water. So if I add more drop of water to my paint, so it's get a little bit lighter. But when you go with the pure paint, pure pigment of paint, it's really dark. So I would add more drop of water in my paint to make it loose and runny. But this is the blue. In my color wheel, we know that we have three color, which is the main colors, blue, yellow, and red. So if you mix blue with yellow, you can get the green color. If you mix blue with red, you can get purple color. And that's the primary color. And if you mix red with yellow, you can get orange. It depends because we have different value of red. Like here, these are all red family, but this is orangey red. These are pinky red. For my sky, I would go with pinky red, like alizarin crimson, red rose, or permanent rose, or any color that you have is more close to pink. The reason is because the warm red give you burgundy color, not the purple. So I go with this tiny touch, mix with the blue, and I'm close to purple. So I have the color of my sky. If I go with that color exactly on the paper, it's dry. The paper is dry and my sky is not getting more smooth. So I clean the brush with the water and try to apply the clean water to make the paper wet. Just make the paper, the sky part, not all the part. Just the sky be wet and shiny. So we first premix the paint and then apply adding the water on top of the paper. Half of the paper is okay to be wet. And depend on the paper that you work, it can keep the water on top for a long time or shorter time. And then I'm going to diluted my brush to the paint and start from top of the sky, top of the paper, because the top is a little darker. Even if you're not happy with the tone, you can add a little more blue and a little bit more purple, very gently, not with the tip of brush, with whole the hair of brush. Just lay it down like that. If you see my hand, I do like that, not like this. I do like this and very gently try to play to move this color a little toward the center or even circle motion like that to make the cloudy. You don't have to cover all your paper. Just part of it would be okay. When it's wet, you can apply a little more amount of paint because the water and paint can play together and give you a nice and smooth result of a sky. And that's it. If you see, I make this part as a paper. Here is the paper, a little bit light and loose, the top of the sky to make it cloudy. Even I apply more because my paint wasn't really dark. I add a lot water into that, so it's still wet. So I can do a little bit darker to the top and a little bit to the bottom. And that's it. That's enough for my sky. So please follow me for that. Next part is, please not see all these details in front. They come as a layers. Please see these bushes on the stands, which is light green and a little bit playing of this teeny tiny trees, which is in front of that. So those are bushes on the stands. I would go with that one. First of all, I make the colors light green. I have already light green, but depend on your palette, you can make any green lighter with mixing with yellow, any yellow you have. Just let me show you that I have like this dark green. This is the green, which is not much light, or even this green is not much light. But I can mix it with the yellow color, so it gives me lighter green, or change the tone of my green, and then with adding a drop of water, make it runny to have a lighter tone. So this is okay because I have my paint ready. Again, back to the water, clean your brush. You don't need to have any paint in my brush. So we would like to work on this section here. And again, because it's distance, we would like to keep it very smooth. We don't want to have hard edge. So this is actually, my paper is dry now. I need to again make it wet. But this time I'm not going on top. I just try to wet the section that I need to be wet for the bushes. So on top of the rock and a little bit move to the sky, just that. Make it wet, please. And then apply with the lighter tone of the green. Again, our hand should like this. Lay down, I would hold the hair of brush, not the tip. So try to imagine these are the bushes. Come a little bit to the sky, play the size of the bushes. It can become higher to the sky or lower. And cover whole this section with one value of the green. Still, we need to apply more layers because it's wet. It's a good time to apply a little more layers on it. So for the next layer, I'm not going really cover whole the green. I go a little darker, so apply with more green. You can change the color of green with a little brown to make it warmer, or blue. And then less water this time. Now I'm coming from that section a little bit from the bottom to the top. Make sure the top be light blue, light green. And with the tip, we apply like the different size of the bushes or the trees or cover the paper. Not much dark because still we need to apply with more dark color on top as next layer. So for that light blue color, we need to clean again the brush. Even if you see that it's so greeny, you can change the water. And then, please, oops, I add a drop of water on top of here. Okay. We need to make the bottom part of our paper wet to be really smooth. If we go on top of the dry surface of the paper, we can make the hard edge. So we need that for the last layers, not for the beginning. I make all this bottom part, not the rock, just the water, really wet. And any blue you have, add a drop of water into that to make it light. I have like ultramarine blue and I have turquoise blue. Both are fine. You can go with one of them, or even you can mix them like this. This is a light blue color because I am going to add more water into that, so it makes really light. And very gently, my brush stroke do back and forth from left to right. Just I would go with a little bit tone to get rid of the white of the paper, and that's it. Because of the water, I'm not coming from top to bottom. I'm going to do it like left to right or right to left. Hold the paper and keep it like this to get dry. This I would show you one technique because still the water is wet. If you would like to lift up some colors, that happens sometimes. You add more color, but the paper is still wet. Please keep the napkin like this a little bit. Then just very gently touch this side of the paper that you would like to make it light. And then you remove some part of it because the napkin can absorb it like that. This is a light blue color, doesn't show so much, but if it's wet, you can do like this, and then the paper towel can absorb some blue color and make the lighter tone on the center. If you're dark a little bit toward the center, but when the paper starts to get dry, there's nothing happen. Then we can use another technique to make again that part with the brush, make it wet, and then add the napkin on top. What color we have? I have like burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow ochre. These colors are warm for the rock. This is burnt sienna. It is a browny reddish color. This is dark brown, which is burnt umber, or Van Dyke can be. Oh no, this is dark brown. Depend on the name that you have. Some of them is Van Dyke, which is so dark, some burnt umber, but something like that. If you have just one brown, like reddish brown, you can add the blue and make it dark. This is other. Make sure the brown shouldn't be really watery and runny because it's a small part. And on top, I would go with yellow ochre, which is this one. And then white of the paper. So these two brown and then this yellowy brown. Make sure the top part of the rock be really white as a paper. Start with the light color because in watercolor, we start from the lighter color to the darker tone. It's totally different from the acrylic and watercolor. In acrylic, we start from dark color and then add the light color on top. So I'm going to add this, not much light. There is not much water in it. very gently. Make sure the paper be dry. If not, you can use hair dryer to make it dry. Just section by section, because it's rock, should be a little blocky. Keep the top part white and add some like a block on the bottom part. We would like to make two different part of section of this rock. I would make it separate from each other. But make sure the top part be white as a paper to show the light, like this. And then darker brown, but a little dry, not very wet. So I'm not going to use any water. I'm doing more pigment and a dark pigment. Even if it's comfortable for you and easier, you can switch to small brushes. And just this section, which is the bottom part of the rock and top of the water. So I'm going to add some brush stroke, a little bit come higher, lower, play with the dark tone. And that's it. Okay, so we don't need to add one by one branches. Sometimes we can add the leaves, and if we need to add some branches, we can add later too. So for this part, you see most of the leaves cover the branches. So you're not need to be worried about the one by one the branches. I'm coming to start apply this like a parallel heavy part of the leaves on top of the trees. So start with lighter color. It can be same brush, small, or it can be a little larger. But first I'm going with lighter color and then add the darker color on bottom parts. So diluted the hair of brush into the lighter green. It's better to be more pigment than water. Start from top part. Just play with the shape of brush, with the tip of brush randomly. Add some bushes like that. And still wet, but it's less wet. You can just play with the tip of brush to add some more green on top of the branch. It's better at the same time switch to darker tones. Add some darker color on the bottom part of this light green, because if it gets dry, it's really challenging. I would go a little lighter tone. So I'm going to add yellow ochre to my green here, some section, a little lighter. But make sure not to cover all this light green. Just the bottom part, play with the tip of brush a little lighter, darker, lighter, darker. If you have different green, you can play with that green too. Some part you can use the tip of brush to shape one by one leaves, or with the whole brush cover it. That's it. Because of that, I mentioned don't worry about the thickness of your branch, because you can cover it with the green. So again, lighter green a little bit. When we move to the bottom part, it's okay to go darker green, that's fine. But for the top part, more light. The branches are close to each other, so they play together. You can switch the other green of the trees as well. So I start the other one at the same time. And that's happened randomly. I not cover all this, like finishing each tree separately. You can just add randomly, cover whole this 2, 3 green together. Connect them together, but make sure to have some space for the sky. Not cover all the green, all the blue background. And then the other green come on the bottom part. Just randomly add some dark and light. When it's wet, they very gently blend together and give us nice effect. Like that. Even sometimes you feel that, okay, it's a lot green, I would go with a little blue. You can bring some blue in between and have some change. You can come on top of the tree trunk even with the leaves. I keep the purple for the bottom part of the trees. A little, make it wider if you like. The interesting thing about watercolor is always can be unique. So even when you copy from your painting, because the water can play, it's not happen always the same. It's not same as acrylic or oil. So I keep it like that. I don't want to cover the bottom part because I would go with the purple tone. So if you're okay, you can just have empty space a little bit here. We would go with some more brush stroke there later with the purple and dark green. So I go like that. I keep it just like this. And then keep the other part for more different brush stroke. It shows that all part of this branch are hide under the leaves. So later, if you would like to add some more, I will show you how you can add in between. So far, it's fine to keep it like this. So I made this reddish purple a little bit wet, just a bit. More paint because it's get dry. Like that. Diluted hold the hair of brush here with this. More pigment because I need darker tone. And then I'm going to really relax, play with here. Just adding some more brush stroke of purple. Shape as a tree trunk or even like bushes. You can come a little bit higher, but that red color, even more pinky reddish, if you like to bring, make that beautiful focal point for this part. And I'm going to continue just a bit on behind that tree. Even a little bit there. And then switch to dark green. Very dark color shows everything come forward. Randomly play with the tip of brush to make in between some dark leaves. Like that. And it shows that other greeny color, greeny bushes in front of those trees. And make it short, not really long, because the long trees are there already. We would like to make some short like bushes and small trees in front. So because of that, I go a little darker to work another layer, come forward. And at the same time, I can go separate these bushes from each other by adding some like a grass here, a little bit. This green comes down and show this two different rocks are separate from each other. Now we finish with the top part. with the sky, with the bushes, with trees, rock, and everything. Now the last part is the water. That water need to show all this beautiful color as a reflection to that. So something like this. We don't want to cover the whole blue color, but we need to bring all this reflection. This side is busy with these bushes and the trees, so it's a little darker. So I try to keep this part a little darker, but here should be lighter. And in between, in the middle, I keep it again lighter too. So it's easier to go with the larger size of brush sometimes. If you would like to go, it's easier. But again, less water, more pigment. Now I go with purple color that I already have. A little more water I need to bring because I need my brush to move. Most of the part is green, but that's okay. I go with this kind of brush stroke, lay down, hold the hair of brush. For the details, I do with the tip. Even for the branches, I take my brush like that and use the tip of brush. But for the flat and bigger space, we can do with flat brush, or if we have just round brush, we need to lay it down like that. So I'm coming with this brush like this, move the water, move the paint like a water, like that. Again, more water, help me more. A little bit like this. And then when I'm coming to the center, try to make it like the wave, like that. And make it lighter with the amount of water. And then move on with darker green. Not everywhere, just randomly add some dark tone like the shape of trees. You see here, it's a trees under back and forth brush stroke like that. It shows that the reflection of those trees on top of the water. Or even some purple color, which is darker. I would go with just a purple to show this brush stroke. Work as a section, it's more relaxing than hold the paper. Just with the tip, you can play to add the wave like that as a line. Or even very light color we can bring on top, but it should be really dry. I go with yellow ochre dry brush stroke on top like this. Adding one brush stroke there. Just heavy paint with yellow ochre like that. It's heavy paint, but I try to make it fade with clean brush with less water and just try to play to bring this wet surface to the other part. That's heavy paint, clean brush. Try to take this paint, move it to the bottom, very light, like that. To show the yellowy part of the rock. It is wet. On the other way, if we would like to show the wave, which is like a lighter line, take another brush when it's wet, have a napkin, just clean brush, lift up some paint like that, clean it with napkin. When it's wet, this technique can work. Lift up the paint, clean it with napkin. Lift up the paint, clean it with napkin, wash your brush again. With no water in your brush. I just clean it like that, remove the water on my brush, and this surface is still wet, but here try to lift up with the pressure and then clean with napkin. If it's wet, if not, this is not working, so you can add the light color on top with like acrylic paint, white acrylic, or with the gouaches. Or even make the darker wave on top. We have darker wave. Let me show you like this. This is a darker wave on top of the water. Like that. You can use broken line or you can use straight and very long line. You can play this section one at a time. Okay. So for right side, we are okay. Even if you are going darker, that's okay too. That's nice too. But anytime we can make dark. So if at the first attempt doesn't happen, you can just let it go. And for the second attempt, you can make it a little darker. If you like to have darker water, it's okay. Like this. So I add a little bit darker too. I just randomly do zigzaggy shape to show the reflection of those trees on the bottom part, which is on top of the water. But just zigzaggy shape. Okay, if you are happy with the right side, you can do left side as well, but we are not using this really dark tone on the left side because the left side is very lighter. So for that part, I'm doing lighter green, even mixed with yellow. It's not really watery, but it's not dry. You see something like runny like that, it's okay for top of the water. And then I lay down my brush like that. And now this time I start from the left side, come to the center to cover it like that. You can keep the blue color as a line in between to show the wave. And don't have to lift up. If I keep it like that, it shows already like a wave. And then I'm going to add more blue color for here. Between the green, we can add some blue too. Prefer to have light and dark, so I'm not cover whole this left and right side very dark. I keep the center especially very light. With the tip, you can just make it narrow and then move to the center, and that's it. But it shows that the rock on top of the water. So this section should a little darker tone. So I'm going to make this, the connection between the rock and the water, I'm going to add a little purpley bluey to make it darker. Just as a line, like this. So it helps to bring the rock on top of the water. For a little bit of tree trunk, I'm going to take the brown, but not like a line from top to bottom, just zigzaggy shape and half apart. A little bit this, just with the brush stroke, little bit this. It shows like a broken line, and so tiny here. That's it. Like 3 different parts like that. It shows that the reflection of the tree trunk on top of the water. And then we don't need to add something else on them. Just the lighter yellow will come at the end here. A little cover it. Even you can come with the edge like a line. Just add the green color to show the leaves of the tree, or even a line like this to cover. That's it. We don't need to play more. And always the water should be more flat. We are not working very dark, same as the nature that we have.